All right, I am excited. Today is April 8th right now, about 1 o'clock, and we are living in a dream world, I'd say. So for some, yeah, I know, Frank, I'm gonna look for the positive in everything. But Frank is a longtime financial advisor for Monarch Retirement Investments. Um, and we were talking the other day. Frank and I worked together for many, many years. Frank's known me. I've known him for, God, decades. And old-time handball player, as well as hardcore Aztec fan as well, and local San Diego. And so thanks, Frank, for being on and sharing some of your time. Talk about financial advising.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. So right now I've got some questions here. Why is it important to have a financial planner, and it is even more critical now than ever before?
Good question. Left to their own designs, whether young or old, people will make classic mistakes in investing. They may or may not learn from the mistakes, but they will be punished by the mistakes. You work too hard to give it up. And also, for the younger watchers or listeners, you have to start instituting discipline in saving. If you don't institute discipline in saving, you're going to be too old when you start saving. So it's all about discipline. One of the things that Carlos and I have talked about in our relationship is it's not about picking the right stock, the right timing. It's about a couple of simple things: compounding and time, and the rule of 72. Compounding and time, over time, if you invest $1 today, 10 years from now, at a reasonable rate of return, it should double. So the earlier you start saving and the harder you start saving, that is, the more it hurts you. That is painful.
It is.
Forego luxuries today so that you can set yourself up not to depend on Social Security, which for the younger group may not be there as a bootstrap, and or government assistance, because there are going to be too many mouths to feed and it won't work. So you want to be able to be financially independent, that no matter what happens outside your own little orbit of control, you're still going to be fine. That's where a reasonable financial advisor will lead you. What you need to do in that process is come up with a budget. That is, what are you spending? What is you individually, or you and your wife or girlfriend and family are spending on a monthly basis, projected out over 12 months. I can't tell you the number of times I've walked into a kitchen table or into an office, and the people that I'm talking to have no idea what they're spending.
Wow.
Not even a clue.
Yeah. And
then when you ask for a budget, it's like a blank stare. They don't know. So that's part of the first steps in starting to build a financial fortress.
Kind of the reality, right, Frank? Goes reality of what we're dealing with.
You have to deal with where you are,
right,
and what you're spending, and all the, I would say all, but the frivolous things that you're spending money on.
It's crazy when you start looking at your credit card bill, and Jeanette and I do this. I do it every single month. I'm going like, holy moly. I mean, God, why do we have this? What's this? What's that? And people don't realize that stuff is just recurring often, and they don't even use it. So, when this whole thing started happening this last month, my coach, Frank, was kind of going in, cut the fat, all the stuff that you don't need, that you don't use, you have to cut it. And I'm speaking to my friends out there. How many spend so much money on crap that you won't use, that you don't use, and that you think it's over the top, driving the big, and this is just me, please, the big fat cars, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going like, wow, how much are you saving a year? And they're like, what? I'm like going, you got to think for the future, or you have to think if you're married, for your wife and for your kids and for, your trust and things like that. It's crazy. So Frank, and thank you. We've been working a while, and I just have to say that up front of like, you have to save. And you've pointed me in the right direction over the years. And it's been painful, definitely painful on some of the stuff that I wanted to buy, but said, no, you have to invest this money or you're going to give it to the government. And we're seeing what they're doing it now. They're just giving it away.
Well, actually, they're just printing it, and they're sending out IOUs that the younger of you out there are going to be paying for. Carlos, your child, Bella, your grandchildren will be paying for, and it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. It's not workable. Why do they do it? Why do the politicians go into deficit spending? That's a question you have to start getting a grip of. The reason they do it is because they don't have to go back to the taxpayers and ask for more money in taxes. So it's painless on their part. They're able to avoid their civic duty, which is trying to be fiscally conservative and sound. And in the end, we're all going to pay the bill.
Yeah. Crazy, but they're looking for their checks, whether they voted for Don or not. You know, they're looking for their $1,200. Show me that $1,200. It'll get you half of your rent.
Well, that's subject for a whole other deal. Now, back to budget. One of the things that's interesting about budget is when you actually start getting to, and I mean down to real detail, from an anecdotal standpoint. I've seen people who spend $800 a month on Starbucks coffee. Mm-hmm. Okay, not unusual. Seen people spend a couple thousand a month on takeout.
Yeah.
And delivery. Probably not the best use of your money. Yeah. If you're spending $3,000 a month on not cooking and sending people out to get coffee and pastries, it's just not a smart play because you only have so much money. The other thing that happens to people is they do that, and it has been very, very easy to go to the ATM, the equity in your home, and pull money out. So what happens is when people go to the equity in their home and pull money out, at the point in time when they either need to downsize, change of living situation, change of job, change of state, they have so much money sucked out of their primary residence, the ATM, that they find it hard to move. And or they are then in a mandatory downsize that they really don't want.
Right.
So you can't go down that road either. It's very easy.
Well, and they're pulling that money out to buy other crap that's going to probably depreciate instead of pulling the money out of that investment to go buy another investment, which is another piggy bank or another investment, right?
Yep. Hey, yeah, again, you know, I've seen that there's many of these examples how people visually, mentally think about all this, and they think about it as pools of money.
Right.
Okay, pools of money. It's an easy way to think of things is that you have different segmented categories. Unfortunately, for most of the country, there are no more defined benefit guaranteed pension plans. It's now a 401k defined contribution world,
right?
Which means you have to do the saving. Your employer will match up to a certain point, which is you need to maximize that. If you're in a management position, in a senior position, or in a situation where the company has a deferred compensation plan, you need to look into that. That's a really super way to save. Carlos and I have talked about that, and I keep trying to get him to go to a brokerage setup where there's a deferred comp plan, because it's a real nice way to push more than that lousy 15% for lower compensated people that goes into a 401k plan. Right. So you just have to think of how do you keep the money away from the government? That's the play. If you can do that and keep more of your money in your pocket, you'll end up in a better place.
For your long-term well-being.
Correct. Yeah. And your family.
Exactly. Now, Frank, in regards to the people that are out there, how do you vet that financial planner like yourself? And do you ask for recommendations?
Sure. Ask for referrals. Here's another thing is our industry has fallen in love with designations.
Okay.
Any dumbbell can get certified. Okay.
Right.
What you want to do is you want to have people that are actually on the ground, boots on the ground, day-to-day experience. Compounding time, the rule of 72, that is the number that your rate of return divided into 72 tells you how fast your money is going to double. If you're in the S&P 500 index over the last 110 years, that's been about an 11% outcome, just in a simple index. So it means your money's going to double about every 6 years. If you start early enough, that's going to be a big deal.
Right.
And you have to be consistent in savings. You can't pull it out for weddings, as an example, out of your 401k plan. You can't pull it out for cars. You can't pull it out for all kinds of things because you're going to penalize yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. Those under 59 and a half will pay a 10% penalty plus income tax. Painful. So again, investing and picking someone to work with, it's a very personal relationship. I have clients that I have had for over 25 years. Your financial advisor, if it's all done right, becomes part of your family.
Right.
So you want to have someone who's not just out of business school and a hotshot working at Merrill Lynch. You want to have somebody that has experience, knowledge, and actually will listen to you. That's a big deal. Where there's not a predetermined formula to get you as a client.
Right.
That you have to listen to the advisor and the advisor has to listen to the customer. What a concept.
Yeah. Just listen. And you have to have the plan. And
just listen.
Yeah. You know, when you get the one-hit wonders, God, I made this much money on the market, but it's like going to Vegas almost. Going, then how much money did you lose?
No, it is. No, it is. It is. It is. It's exactly like going to Vegas. You're in an environment where there are people who have faster trading platforms that if you're trying to beat people on the trading end, you're never going to do it. They've got too much technology. You can do pretty well. You can get close. But you hit a strong point in that if you're out trying to pick the next winning stock, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what this is about. This is about time and compounding. The rule of 72, consistency. And that's why it revolves around the budget, how much you can put in at any given time. Critical, how much you can continue to put in. Now, the other side of this with your financial advisor is you need to be very specific on cash flow needs out of your investments. Certainly as someone, between the ages of 30 and 55, you shouldn't be touching your investments. You should be letting them grow. Right. But there'll be a time where you're actually needing to live on either part or all of the investment. So part of the pre-retirement planning, age 50, 55 plus, is being able to understand cash flow. Where does the cash flow understanding come from? Budget, right? Now, your investments have to be set up to feed the cash flow. I've seen many mistakes made on the setup. So you have to be able to say, and you have to leave enough money for times like this, where the market goes haywire. If you're pulling money out, you don't want to be selling anything.
No.
This is a no-sell zone. It could be a buy zone, but it's a no-sell zone.
Right.
So
because the market's so depressed, right?
Market's so depressed. Again, anecdotal, and we've talked about this.
Share that story with your very rich friend.
Well, yeah, pretty well off. Guy was a UPS driver, and then went into in his part-time went in and opened up a real estate office, Miracle Mile, Los Angeles. Hardworking guy, built a UPS pension. I think right now at age 90 plus has about 30 apartment buildings in LA. Had a $5 million plus stock portfolio. Not one of my clients, a family friend. Couldn't sleep at night. Guess what time he chose to give up his stock portfolio and go to cash? Oh, the worst day possible. He picked it. So his 5 million turned into about 2.5. But I've seen that happen over and over and over again. It's pathetic.
What do you advise people at that time? You say no sell zone, but you just go, just wait it out. I mean, he's 90, what, plus? I mean, but for the kids now, what I'm trying to say, the people that are under 50, let's say the kids, a younger gen, just tell them to suck it up, wait it out as long as you can.
Same discipline needs to be exercised, because think about it. If you're accumulated and you're age 45 and you've done a decent job of saving, and you get panicked, and let's say you sell off, let's just say it's $500,000 and it turns into $300,000, which is very common, could happen.
Yeah.
You've just taken away 2/5 of your nest egg and given it to you're actually giving it to somebody else. Somebody else benefited by that trade because they bought it, right? And they may have sat on it for 10 days and sold it at a profit, if that. So you have to have discipline, and you just have to sit back and go, you're in it for the long term.
Yeah.
You're going to use the rule of 72. You're going to use good investment principles, time and compounding, and you'll win.
72 months, right? The 72.
No, rule of 72. It's a divider.
Divider, okay.
So if you have a 10% rate of return, your money will double in 7.2 years.
Got it. Yep.
Okay. You have a 12% rate of return, your money doubles in 6.
Got it. Okay.
But that's not the key. The key is when we set up portfolios, there's always going to be cash in there for emergencies. Okay. For the people distributing, there's always cash in there for money coming out every month. We have most of our clients take money out monthly.
Right.
So they have to have that and not be forced to sell. That is the tenet. You cannot survive if you're forced to sell. Right. You have to have selling when you want to sell, if you're selling.
Good point. So, and there's a question right now for probably a majority of the people that are watching this here. If you haven't planned for this type of financial crisis, is it too late to start? Never.
Okay. Never too late. Good investment behavior is always rewarded. Patience is rewarded. Anybody that's young and investing has the advantage of an old strategy called dollar cost averaging. You're just buying every 2 weeks in on your payroll in your 401k plan, and you're going to get highs, you're going to get lows. You're just consistently buying at different levels in the market, and guess what? It works.
Yeah. Look at a lot of your clients, right?
Well, and again, most of the clients came out of places where they had defined benefit plan, pension plans, and defined contribution plans, and they saved really hard. They were good savers.
Right.
That's all we wanted to talk to, is the people with money.
Well, and it's having somebody advising you and then basically doing the work. You got to suck it up. And that's one thing that, Jeanette and I have luckily been doing, is just sucking it up big time. And, luckily we've invested into real estate, and sometimes we've had to pull a little bit out of one of our investments to be able to fund, unfortunately to fund, our defined benefit plan, but at least I'm funding it with our investment that we've worked hard on as well, to fund something that we don't have to pay a ton of tax to the government, that we can fund our futures with.
Right. So and someone like you who's into real estate, you always have to be conscious of the capital gains issues, because that's another place you can get whacked and give too much money back.
Well, that's the biggest thing. So that's one of the things. My question is it a good time to invest in real estate right now? Current market.
I think I would leave that to you, Carlos. You've
been in real estate a long time as well. I mean, you've been through how many cycles, and I was saying we were pushing this next cycle. A lot of people were asking me, Frank, is it a good time to buy or sell? And people kept going, it's going to keep going up, up, up. And I'm going, it looks like everything is looking that way, but who knew that the COVID-19 was going to come, and then the world was going to stop as we know it. And just this last week, 10.1 million people are on unemployment right now, and probably more than that, right?
Well, I think it goes deeper than that. The capital markets, which feed all the loans, it looks like the government might get in there and screw that up and dry up all the liquidity in the capital markets for loans. So It's a time, I think it goes back, you would tell your clients or prospective clients, buy quality.
Mm-hmm.
You buy quality, and if it's going to be a primary residence, then it takes a lot of the risk out of it.
Yes.
Because you're living in it.
Right.
Right.
And that's
Now,
one of the things that I'm advising my clients now. If you're going to live in it and you plan on 5-10 years, you will win, because the market
absolutely.
always will do what it does, fluctuate. It goes up and down. It's usually 5 to 7 years. And we're pushing this 10-year cycle going into year 11. And, you know, I'm not saying I told you so, but, you know, don't get greedy when people think it's going to keep going up, up, up. If you're considering on selling real estate, that is, to move it, where are you going to put that money? What, you know?
Well, I think you bring up a good point there, and you used the word that I wrote down for our call here, and we hadn't really talked much about it. And whether it's real estate or regular capital markets investment, the G word, greed.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
Yep.
It makes people do stupid things.
Oh yeah. We saw it in 2006, 7, and 8. And,
right.
you know, I was just fresh into real estate in 2004, 5, and I saw what was going on, and it got a little hairy. And now, unfortunately, this is something that we have no control over at all. In seeing what's happening, and the domino effect of keeping people in their homes quarantined is so different from the last time, where people can't go out and spend money, people can't go out and buy things, and how it's affecting the car business, affecting the oil business, affecting, you know, a commercial real estate like we spoke of. People are at home now. For a residential real estate agent like myself, I think it's going to benefit, because people are going to need bigger homes, especially being quarantined for so many days and months.
Well, this is going to be a new baby boom.
Oh yeah, I think so, definitely.
Yeah.
And more divorce as well. So we'll see.
You can only watch so much television, right?
God, well, you can only watch, for Bella, it's Paw Patrol. For any kids who wants to watch Paw Patrol, which would you like, Daddy? Well, I like Chase. So, but nevertheless, yeah, we only watch cartoons, because if you watch the news, that's the biggest cartoon.
Well, you know, that you just brought up another good a good thing to talk about is the news. The media is not the news anymore.
Oh.
So what you have to do is, again, exercise good sense. Get rid of cable TV.
Oh God, I mean,
because you know, all the mainstream media, doesn't matter which one, they're all
skewed.
corrupt.
And who runs them? And if the people, and you get on Facebook, it's really sad even to see it on there. I mean, it's dividing the country more than ever. But
Yep.
What you're saying is, who is the source, and who do you know? Who's the most creative with their headlines? Really is the thing. And doing fact checking, you know. And J-Lo works with me, marketing coordinator. You know, it's extraordinary. But doing the fact checking of whatever we're talking about and posting, unless I say it, this is my belief, other than this is the reality. That's the thing, is what's real, what's not. And
well, it's what's the truth and what's spin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're getting spun to death.
Yep.
So unfortunately, probably about 40% of the populace is either too lazy or too dumb to figure out that they're being lied to.
Yeah, I would agree.
At least.
Yeah.
At least. And then there's, you know, part of that, they want to be lied to. They want to believe what they're hearing or seeing. Mm-hmm. But it's unfortunate, and both of us run into it on a daily basis in our business lives. People who seem to be like they actually have a brain, and they've checked it at the door, and they're emotionally involved, and they're regurgitating what's come out of mainstream media, which is junk.
Yeah.
So that's actually right now, mainstream media is playing into the destruction of the economy.
Yeah.
If the economy becomes impotent and gets destroyed, we're all going to have a bigger problem than compounding in time.
Yeah, big time. That's one of the things. And you've been through these cycles, and I think this one's a lot different than what we've seen, at least what I saw the last one.
Never like this. This cycle we're in right now is like self-imposed opening of your veins and letting your blood run out. This is absolutely the dumbest move by government I've ever seen.
Yeah. Tell me, okay, we're going to wrap this up, Frank, and I thank everybody, but tell me what should be going on right now to get America back going again? What do you think Donald Trump should be doing?
Well, see, the problem is Trump gets blamed for everything, and he's federal. He can do things that are on a federal level. Mm-hmm. The problem, draconian measures to shut the economy down, is on a state and local level.
Now, you explain draconian levels. I don't know if a lot of people, and I had to look it up yesterday. I've heard the term, but I wanted to know exactly what does it say in Wikipedia.
Draconian means that you are being controlled by on high. You have orders coming down which stop you from, in our country, stop you from exercising your liberty. Mm-hmm. So your liberties, freedom of assembly, have been taken away. Right? Your ability to move around has been taken away. Your freedom to move around to conduct commerce. So state governments, Newsom and his bunch, have hamstrung the sixth largest economy in the world, California.
The world.
The world. And then you have mayors. Faulkner has not shown much in the way of leadership. I guess the thing you have to think about is you have a double thing going on here. You have the scientists who are smart people trying to do the right thing, but living in a bubble of unreality.
Right.
To open the economy up in 18 months, once you found a vaccine, well, they may not find a vaccine. You know, they've never found a real flu vaccine that does everything. They've never found a vaccine for AIDS. So 18 months, yeah, everything's good. You've done all the trials and you've got, let's just say you've got 70,000 people that have died. It's sad.
Yeah.
But if you don't have an economy, you've got 330 million people who are screwed.
And are going to commit suicide.
Two parts of this thing. You've got the scientists who are trying to get a grip on modeling that seems to change every day, which is wrong. And then you have the politicians who don't want to go outside of their comfort zone and actually make decisions.
Right.
Actually be creative. There's a couple, Ducey of Arizona, DeSantis of Florida. I don't remember the governor's name in South Dakota, but the guy in South Dakota said, we're a rural state. We got a whole bunch of space and we don't have any people. Why are we doing any of this?
Right.
Pretty pathetic. We have very pathetic leadership at the gubernatorial and the local level. And at the local level, you not only have the mayor, you have chief of police, chief of the lifeguards, fire, right? And they've all. You can't go to the Pacific Ocean.
Can't go on the boardwalk. Can't go on the bay.
You can't go on the boardwalk. Now, I will close it with this. This is thing, and I'm sure people have heard this, but Niall Ferguson, Imperial College, London, 3 weeks ago predicted that 2.2 million Americans would die of this virus. 550,000 UK would die of the virus. A week ago exactly today, one factor in his model changed, social distancing. The number went down to 20,000 in the UK would perish, and between 80 and 140,000 in the US. Well, updated numbers from our boy Ferguson, we're now projected at 60 to 70,000 in the US. Is that worth A, shutting your economy down, and B, keeping everybody locked up? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. No.
And
it's crazy when you, and I'm not putting anybody down for it. I'm just stating, though, when you look at the big picture of the globe, of America, of your state, to stay at home is a tough one. To not let people roam and take away their liberties, et cetera, to save some. And I'm not going to get into it, but just stating the fact that we know that a majority of the people that are dying right now that have underlying conditions, and God, it's a sad, sad thing. But when you look at the rate of obesity, you look at the rate of diabetes and hypertension with all Americans, They just needed one thing to take them, and granted it is this, which is very sad. Nevertheless, to take down the rest of the country into the doldrums or into—
Well, no, just think of it. This is going to be the second Great Depression.
Yeah.
Why did we have the first one? FDR got screwing around with the economy and took a 3-year depression and turned it into a 10-year depression. That's where we're going if this doesn't get fixed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Trump doesn't have the power to fix it on his own. And these governors, with an abundance of caution, are going to kill our country.
Yeah. So we need to get stronger with that, and the people, I think, need to back that and state, hey, really look at the facts. And it's hard to get the facts that are clear. And I'm just speaking from the fact checking that we've been doing.
Right.
And it's not from Facebook. Thank you very much. So, and I appreciate J-Lo for putting this together. And Frank, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Jeanette appreciates you. And Bella, I know down the road will appreciate you even more. So give Dean a big hug and a kiss. Thank you and for watching. And you'll be seeing our next Zoom this next week. And J-Lo and I will be bringing that up to date of who that's going to be and what we're going to talk about next. So thank you guys very much. Carlos G here. We'll see you at our next one. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.